Okay, we're going to do something different today, and I think it's going to be a little different than I've seen on other channels, I hope. If not, and you've seen a better one, go back to that, certainly. But we are going to make a half a gallon of nickel plating solution using nickel plates, vinegar, non-iodized kosher salt here, copper wire. I am going to sand off that coating, a multimeter, just so we can kind of see the difference in current flow. This little power supply I bought to do other little electrical experiments and tests with. Unfortunately, I'm a little worried because it's a multi-funiction power supply. But I plugged it in and it works, so we'll see what happens. And then I have some alligator clips and stuff around, but I was at my favorite store and look at that. All the things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it up here just to make the solution, and then once we get it fired up, I'll talk about some of the points I think I've learned, and if this fails completely, maybe that'll be like a YouTube first of, wow, this guy didn't know what he was doing. I'm good with that. Let's try. Okay, I'm going to try and fill this up, but leave us a little room so if we do put something in it to electroplate, it doesn't make it go up over the top. Pretty smart, huh? But we do want to get those plates covered. By the way, I wiped those down and dried them off. I wiped them down with mineral spirits, so in case there's any contamination from greasy fingers on them or anything. The number one thing with the electroplating is how well you prep and how well you clean. And then once I turn the power on, and it's an adjustable supply, so I'll get it to a voltage and I'll leave it there and just unplug it for the second part of the test. That way when I plug it back in, there's no variation in how much voltage is going in. That makes sense? So for the test, I'm gonna put, and I guess I could show you that. Not much at all, is there? And they say for making the solution, you should run it a little higher. And then when you're doing the plating, you run it at a lower voltage. So I'm gonna, let me get a decent number on there. Whatever, it's 9.3 volts. And it's pulling 0.003 amps. Oh, hang on a sec, yeah. So not much at all. Okay, back up. For now, I didn't have my meter set on DC amps. I'm like, this ain't making sense. I haven't used that thing for amp readings since I retired and before that, so I apologize. Okay, so anyway, we're filled up. We're running 9.3 volts into it, and we are at 0.082 amps. So we're going to probably increase quite a bit with some salt add. Everything I read says the ratio should be, well, however much you want. I mean, I'm sure there's a better science to it, but it hasn't made it to the YouTube channels I've been watching. So we're just going to add some. I'm going to stir it around. I've got some old chopsticks because I figured they're coated and I wipe them off too. So we'll add, I got to take this all apart, get it stirred in, and we'll power it back up and we'll see where it go from there. So again, 0.08. All right, it's up to this. Oh, wow. We're pulling 2.5 amps at our 9 volts. And you can see, you know what? Well, I think it's okay. This power supply here that I bought is good for up to 3 amp. So I'm gonna go ahead and, now that we know, yeah, it increased it, I'm gonna lower the voltage down to 6 volts. But what I want you to see, now remember, your current's flying through there, right? And the electron flow, so it's going through the ammeter to the cathode and boop, over to the anode. And you can tell that just by a glance by where the bubbles are at. And I don't want to mess this up, but let's see if we can get y'all in there. Over here, where the black clip is, we're back. Okay, look at the bubbling action. That's probably going to disintegrate that anode. Or that's going to disintegrate, yeah. And the cathode is a few bubbles, but it's probably going to leave a lot of impurities floating in here when it's done. And that's okay because I can filter it out before we start trying to electroplate. This is exciting, isn't it? And if you look, you see all the stuff floating in there. Oh, look at the bottom, tons. So I'm going to take it inside and run it through a coffee filter. Put it back in the clean jar, and tomorrow we will electroplate. Electrocute. Don't do that. We'll electroplate some things. So, have a good one. See you then. All right, I probably need to voice over this because I'm letting the heater run to keep my area warm so that it'll help the electroplating. We're going to try 3 things today. An ordinary nail. It's got a little rust and corrosion on it. And I'm going to clean that up. A penny I just found on the ground this morning, and it too is pretty pretty corroded. And the hopes is that we can get to this, which is also pitted, and the plating is coming off, and we can polish her up and electroplate it and make it look shiny and new. This is kind of the goal piece. We'll see if we get there. Not a little overkill for the penny there. It took, I forgot, they're just barely electroplated themselves. So that'll be kind of interesting to see how the electroplating does on the 2 different exposed metals. The nail, other than cleaning with some mineral spirits, I think it's ready to try. The key, if you can see there, let's see, there we go. It's pretty pitted. And over here, there's a scrape in it. Now electroplating won't fill those in, but it'll just follow them. So I'm gonna hit this a little bit in the grooves there with the Dremel, and do some final prep, but I'm gonna leave the scrape at least, because I want to see, how it looks after plating. Again, it's only an experiment, but I want to get in the hole and in the little corners a little bit before we go forward. Okay, like I said, I'm doing this for the first time with you, so that if it fails, well, we can see that. So you can see I've suspended my nail. There's my sacrificial anode there. Now this is where polarity is important. Negative goes to the object that you are electroplating. And some might think that's counterintuitive, but it works. And we have our power supply. All I need to do is turn it on, and I think I need to agitate or move I have gloves on so I don't contaminate the stuff. Obviously this isn't much protection. But yeah, it's gonna just protect the thing we're electroplating from getting fingerprints on it. So, I don't know, I'm gonna try and set this up so I have free hands. Okay, I think that's the best I can do. I'm gonna try and run a very low voltage to it. It takes a minute for this thing to come on. And I'll give you, we're at 5 volts right there. Oh yeah, look at that. Hopefully you can look at that. It's bubbling up real quick. A nail coated, and there's one right out of the box. It's definitely a big change. I'll try and get some still pictures to put up at the end that might even show it better, but yeah, it's definitely different. So I'm going to pause, set up the penny, and I'll give you a couple of quick shots of that. Penny's running. I think I'm going to try and leave it a little longer than we did on the nail. Because here I can more easily see the results and kind of know where it's going with it. And I debated not moving the alligator clip and let it stay uncoated beneath it. I don't know. We'll see. I believe definitely agitating it is going to help the final result. I should tell you that I have an alligator clip holding this wire. Anywhere this wire made a connection, I gave it a light sanding because there's like a formal coat on there. And I wanted the best conductivity. So I gave it a little light sanding just to help my little electron buddies get through. Kind of half pulling it out. Okay, I think I want to, so we can look at it together. Oh, wow. Okay, it's definitely changing. You can see under where the alligator clip was, I think. I don't know as it's getting there. Yeah, it's definitely. So I moved the clip and I've turned the penny around. We'll go this way for a little while. Having the different tones of the metal, it's easier to see the progress. Okay, we're gonna shut down the penny here. I think I'm gonna call it done. I don't think it's perfect. Or, I could probably get a thicker coat on it. But again, this is our first test run. So I did want to remind you, there are gases that come off hydrogen, so you need to have ventilation. Open a door, maybe blow a fan. I decided to stay in the garage with the door open because I figured it was just a little better environment than taking it in my basement. Is that overkill? Maybe, but I'm still standing. Okay, kids. Wow. I don't know how well that's going to show up at all, but I'll get some pictures. But that is a completely plated. At first, remember it had like silver and copper tones. Now it's just completely, and I'm going to try and polish one side to see if the polish will take off the coating, because that wouldn't be very good either. See how durable it is, basically. So I'll probably use some flits and a cotton swab or something. Nothing too insane, and we'll test that. But I'm going to get ready to do the key. I think I'm going to wind up leaving this probably even longer each direction with just agitation and see what happens. Hang on. All right, 5.5 volts, and the key is in. I'm going to agitate it, but not quite as often as I did the other pieces. And I'm going to turn it regularly, and I'm probably going to go a good, 4 minutes and pull it out and see what we got. So stand by. All right. I think we're going to call this one done. It's been 5 minutes in various angles, a little bit of agitation. Average about 4.5 volts. I wanted to show you real quick. Look at the shine on the front of that penny. You can't tell, but there's no copper. It's all nickel. And I'd used my flits, no advertisement. And I rubbed the piss out of that penny because I knew, because I had seen copper, that if I rubbed it good enough, I'd see more copper, but it didn't poke through. So without further ado, the 2025 final. And you can see the divots and the pits in it. What am I doing here? Hang on. Okay. Yeah, you can see every divot and pit, which is what I knew was going to happen, but I wanted to see how it would look. But I don't know how clear it comes through, but this thing is completely plated. Let me give it a quick polish. I'll give you a final show. There they are. That key, I just gave it a light polish. But yeah, there's my mess. But boy, oh boy, what a difference. That'll display so much nicer. Not that I have a big key display, but I do have this hanging down by my carving bench, and I like it. It's cool. And one more time, the penny that's been, I rubbed it a lot. It didn't come off. And I went ahead and polished the back a little too, and none of it came off. And the nail, well, it's a nail. Now it's a shiny nail. But I'm impressed with the outcome. I'd say give it a try. Do your research, follow all your safety, and I have to go pack my van and get ready to leave, so hopefully you'll be watching again when I shoot some footage down on the coast here. It's pretty spectacular. We'll see.